So the first presidential debate, key takeaways, who won the day, who's panicking. Let's try and make sense of this. Joining me on the special broadcast, Lenka Hauskova-White is a journalist who joins us from the United States of America. Ambassador Navteej Sarna, always a pleasure to have you with us, sir, former Indian ambassador to the United States of America. But Lenka White, to you first. Reports from the US seem to suggest that the Democrats are panicking. In your appreciation, who stole the show today? What's the buzz in the US?
Good evening to everyone, and thank you so much. Definitely, Democrats are panicking. The whole media cycle is now talking about the bad performance of the current president, Joe Biden. I mean, everyone was sort of expecting that Joe Biden is going to stumble, that he will have some issues, but I think he sort of created a new record of how bad it actually was. So we are now seeing and reading about possible replacements. People are talking about it. Everyone is very upset. So it was definitely worse than expected. And Donald Trump, he was trying hard. He remained professional. He actually was not attacking Joe Biden or as usual. He was not that brutal as usual. And this way he projected himself as a more reserved, professional, and sharp.
Okay, Ambassador Sarna, is that also your appreciation? Are the Democrats very clearly on the back foot, and more, are they in panic mode?
Well, let me say, thank you, Gaurav, for getting me here. Let me say that, yes, Donald Trump came out looking better than Joe Biden. Biden had a terrible night out, and that has set the panic buttons in the Democratic camp. Let me explain that in a minute, that Biden was actually looking at this debate for a reset, because ultimately both of them are just fighting for those few voters in the 6 or 7 swing states, and to convince them one way or the other, or to get them out to vote, in fact. So it's not such a major thing. So on substance, there's not a great difference that they can make. What mattered was perception. What mattered was the personalities. And there, I'm afraid, though Donald Trump was his blustering, lying self, who was making all sorts of allegations and saying everything, he sounded more energetic. The difference of 3 years between them, 81 and 78, did not look like 3 years. And Joe Biden's presentation suffered considerably. He was fumbling, he was rambling, he was unable to really drive the point home where he had to. He was stumbling around, and he looked very old. And that ultimately has set the cat among the pigeons in the Democratic camp, that is he the man to lead the most powerful country, the most powerful military for the next 4 years.
And even though, Donald Trump was repeatedly fact-checked, but Lenka White, Democrats, it seems, want to change horses midstream. What's the thinking in the Biden camp? What are the options? And how challenging would it be if they're looking at other options at this stage?
Thank you. So we are watching comments not only from the Biden's current team, but also from, for example, the previous President Obama's team. And this previous strategist of Obama, he suggested that Biden should be stepping down. On the other hand, one of anonymous advisors from Biden's team said that Biden is actually looking forward to the second debate and that he's not planning to step down. But I personally believe that the Democratic Party is in shock and they will actually try to remove Biden. There is a lot of talk, there is a lot of comments about it, that we already saw these comments about a year ago, half a year ago, that Biden will be replaced. I personally think it's not that simple, because it's quite a complex process. Biden already won all of the primaries. Yes. He's the main candidate. Now it's still possible because the Democratic Convention is in mid of August, but it's not that simple because Biden selected many of the committee leaders, which they feel sort of now obliged to him, thankful to him for picking them to lead their jobs. So it might not be that simple to actually replace the current president for a new runner. And just I would like to say that there are floating around names such as Michelle Obama, the current governor of California, Newsom. Newsom has already been asked about it. He sort of avoided the question, and he said that we should focus not on the style, but on the substance, even though we all saw that the substance was also not very good.
Okay. Ambassador Sarna, would that be a smart move? You heard the debate to change horses midstream, and is Joe Biden a wrong horse to bet on for the Democrats at this stage? Or is this one battle lost? There's still the war to be won ahead.
Well, it's a bad battle lost. You will see a lot of spin coming out in the next few days, trying to put the best spin on this, that things will improve, etc. And there's another debate in September. And so far, Joe Biden has not shown any signs of deciding that he will step down. In fact, at the end of the debate, he said, he talked to the press and said, "See you at the next one, and we are going to keep going." So it's going to be a difficult process. There will be a lot of soul searching until the Democratic Convention in Chicago. And until then, I think unless Joe Biden himself decides, at the advice of somebody he really trusts or somebody's really close to him, that he should actually step down, I think we are still looking at a Trump-Biden contest unless things change dramatically.
Okay. And Ambassador, what do you make of Michelle Obama's name doing the rounds? Is that too premature?
Well, I think it is premature. There are many names doing the rounds, but you see, as your other speaker just said, the primaries have been completed. The delegates from the states are committed under rule of the Democratic Party to support Joe Biden in the convention. So if another name is to come up, say Michelle Obama, Bernie Sanders, Kamala Harris, there are lots of names floating around. Of course, if these were the names, Michelle Obama would gather the greatest traction, I would seem to think. But if this would have to then go down basically to the candidates seeking votes at the Democratic Convention from the state delegates, something which actually hasn't happened since JFK and Lyndon Johnson were seeking votes at the Democratic Convention in 1960. So I think it's a long way off. Let's wait and watch. What this has done, certainly, has made worse the age factor for Biden. It was always bad, but this one has driven it home. It's now hit the electorate in the face. And I think
they're watching it on television and in that 90-minute period repeatedly. And Lenka White, are the US voters actually caught between a rock and a hard place, choosing between these two options? Joe Biden, who was fumbling, not all there, as many argued, and Donald Trump, though extremely confident, repeatedly fact-checked.
I definitely agree what Ambassador Sarna said. It's a tough call, and it will not be that easy to replace Biden, as it seems now from watching the media. And you are right that US voters have only two options, and many of them actually, based on my conversations with them during the political rallies, for example, in South Carolina, when still Nikki Haley was in the run, many of them actually didn't want neither Trump nor Biden. But now they have no other choice, because they need someone strong who is able to defend the other person. And sometimes they just hate so much the other candidate that they will support basically anyone else. I personally think that it's very divided at the moment, the United States. Of course, there is still on the table Robert Kennedy. However, as we know, he was not qualified for the debate. He is having about 10%. It's not a big chance, but he is still there. So some people who dislike Trump that much and Biden that much, they are actually going for Kennedy. I also, lastly, would like to point out that the polls before the debate were saying that Trump has about 55% of chance winning of the debate and Biden 45. However, CNN, who organized this show, did at the end of this new poll where 67% of all viewers of this show said that Trump was leading and only 33 said that Biden was the one for them.
Oh, so that's a big jump for Trump from 55 to 67. Ambassador Sarna, given the ground realities in the United States, who has the edge? Given the situation, will Trump be able to sail through all the way?
I wouldn't call it sailing through, but he certainly has an edge today. And, we are still 4 months away and things can happen. But at the moment, he has the edge because his own bloc is very strong and he is aiming to move a few of the swing voters. Now, yes. Biden's own bloc is divided. They are panicky and they are worried. And therefore, at the moment, Donald Trump certainly has the edge. Of course, it's not going to be an easy one. It's not going to be easy because he's going to question it all the way. So I think we're going to have a rocky November and all the way up to January.
Okay, like it was even in the past, but Lenka White, Donald Trump repeatedly attacked Joe Biden on the issue of immigration, the illegal immigrants, the direct link he drew with rising crime in the United States of America. Are illegal immigrants proving to be Biden's Achilles heel?
I personally think, yes, the immigration will be one of the weakest points for Biden's campaign. It's number 2 priority for American voters to fix the immigration. Number 1 is economy, if they have enough money, the inflation. But number 2 is immigration. And we in the United States here, almost daily seeing new cases, brutal cases of women being raped, killed by illegal immigrants. And the people are just flowing in. The legal services in New York City, for example, are overburdened. You cannot even apply for an ID card in less than 2 months. So I think Biden is going to have a big problem because he's just starting to sort of work on it now. He tried to put a cap on the entrance at the border, but it's not enough and it's too late. And yes. Everyone knows that Trump is much stronger on immigration already since the beginning. He's been very assertive about how to fix it, what to do with it. And I definitely think that Biden will fail on this note of immigration.
Ambassador Sarna, is that also your appreciation? Because this was one issue where Donald Trump repeatedly hit Joe Biden.
Yes, because he knows immigration is a big issue in the United States today. And the Democrats are caught on immigration. They want to do the same things that the Republicans want to do, but they want to do it in a nicer way. And they are hampered by the Congress and the Senate. And at the same time, Trump himself has taken very, very strong steps against immigration, particularly in his early part of his first term. And that is being criticized by the Democrats. And so that was the debate. But I think the second factor, which we should not miss out, the really other big factor is abortion.
Yes.
And abortion is something on which the Republicans are at presently on a weak ground. But Joe Biden again fumbled on that. He failed to really explain Roe v. Wade. He really failed to drive that point home. So it's economy, it's abortion, it's immigration, and to some extent, it's foreign policy.
That's the point I was coming to next, Lenka White. What about the Russia-Ukraine conflict and US support to Ukraine? What's the reaction to the impact on the American citizens and also the Israel-Hamas war? Post-debate, who carried the day, Trump or Biden?
Again, I agree with Ambassador Sarna, who said that foreign policy is important, but it's not among the top 3 priorities for the American voters. I personally think it's about the 4th, 5th priority, but still, of course, they are watching it and they want to know where their money are going to be spent and sent. Right now, we have a lot of talk here in the United States about billions being sent to Ukraine to purchase new weapons, while billions are also being lost, and the American citizens have no idea why they are actually paying a war which is across the continent. They are questioning, why is this even continuing? What's the end goal of this? And Biden has not been able to present end goal or some objective strategy how to finish the war in Ukraine. On the other hand, President Trump, ever since he started running, he said that he wants to get the war settled. He is a good friend with Putin, with the Russian president, but also with Zelensky, who him called recently the best salesman among politicians.
Well,
and
managed to get
he started
$50 billion. Yes, but the last 30 seconds I have on this part of the show, Ambassador Sarna, in your appreciation, did Trump carry the day? Considering you now have, Russian warships and nuclear submarines on the Cuban coast, is Biden on a sticky wicket here?
Well, I think Trump has a very unique view on Ukraine and Russia. He says he's going to solve the Russia-Ukraine conflict even before he is inaugurated, before January 20th. Now, with what magic is he going to do that? He hasn't told anybody. So I don't think on either Russia or on Gaza, I don't think either of them have come out looking good, have come out looking convincing. One sounds unrealistic. One sounds like he's in a spot. And even on Israel, I mean, it's Trump's policies in the last term which have brought a lot of the things that are happening there today.
Okay.
And Biden has been completely confused on the Middle East, and the US has not been able to take a clear view of stopping support to Israel. Neither of them can afford to say that they don't support Israel. So they are treading very carefully on this. So I think we'll have to wait and watch as to how this part of the policy evolves.
For this informed discussion, Lenka White and Ambassador Navteej Sarna, as always, many thanks for joining me here on India Today. We will continue to track developments on the story very closely.